and welcome back to Lauren Ruth Writes, my bookish channel. So I have a quarterly book haul for you. Now, buying books, I've seen a lot of book hauls. I watch a lot of book hauls. I love book hauls. I also understand that they can be problematic. So just a few prefaces. Some of these are gifts. Most of them I bought with my own money, and most of them are local or thrifted. I don't have an Amazon Prime account. I paused that months ago. And I do shop at Barnes & Noble, but infrequently, only if I can get on the bus and go there. So again, most of what I do is local or thrifted. Doesn't make me better than you. It's just so you know where I'm coming from. Also, I have read 21 books this year, and I have 21 books in this haul. So I'm about even. It's not the same books that I've read that I bought, but I'm about even for this year. So let's talk about what I have bought from January through March, which includes my birthday. So in March, we went a little wild, but it's okay. So the first book that I bought this year is an Oxford World Classic, and this is The Blazing World by Margaret Cavendish. This is a 17th century, a kind of in the vein of Thomas More's Utopia. It is, Margaret Cavendish was an intellectual, and she wrote philosophical treatises. I believe she was one of the very first women to be invited to the Royal Society in the 1600s in England. I'm a little bit obsessed with the 17th century, so I wanted to pick this up, and I bought this at a local bookstore. And this is the newer version of the Oxford Classics. It's the first one that I have in sort of this style. The old ones that I have from like the 90s and 2000s are much thinner. The paper quality is much thinner, and so is the cover. But yeah, I am excited to read this at some point, and like I said, I really love to learn about 17th century, so pick that one up. And this didn't cost me anything because I got a gift card for Christmas. I bought this in January. So the next one is another from the local bookstore, different local bookstore, but this is Why Fish Don't Exist. This is a nonfiction, a story of lost love and the hidden order of life by Lulu Miller. And it is a story about David Starr Jordan, who was a taxonomist, possessed with bringing order to the natural world. And I think it kind of goes between his story in turn of the century San Francisco, right around the time of the big earthquake, and then her own personal story as well. She is a host of an NPR show. She was co-host of Radio Lab and co-founder of NPR's Invisibilia. So I'm very interested in this. I love nonfiction. I love women science writers, and I am interested to see. And the cover, honestly, it's just like this beautiful, like champagne or like pewter gilding. It's really, really pretty. So pick that up at the local bookstore. This was, I think, oh, I have it written down. This was $19. The next one is The Snow Child. This is a used copy that I picked up in January. My city had something that we called the Adult Book Fair. Not what you think, it just means it's like the Scholastic Book Fair. Like if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and you went to the Scholastic Book Fair, it's sort of that, but for adults. And so I went to that, and this was the book that I picked up. It's a used book from a local thrift dealer. So this is Eowyn Ivy's The Snow Child. I have read, I think it's either Blackwoods Blue Sky or the other way around, but I read that earlier I think in December I read that and loved it so much. And she writes about Alaska, but it is usually like, this is a Russian folktale, The Snow Child, or Snegirka, I think it is in Russian, and she usually sets sort of these folklore tales in sort of a modern or recent past of Alaska. So I've heard amazing things about this. I know this is some people's absolutely favorite book in the entire world, so I was excited to pick this one up in a used copy. And I picked this one up for $8 Thrifted. This one I picked up at my favorite bookstore, currently my favorite local bookstore. It is owned by a mother and daughter. It is the cutest bookstore. I try to go there every month and pick up at least 1 or 2 books. So I picked up Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This is a Rebel Blue Ranch novel. I love romance. I take it for what it is. I'm not all consumed by it. It's not the only thing I read, but I absolutely love it and I read it quickly. It is great popcorn for my brain. And I have not read any of the cowboy romance. I've read Lori Gilmore, and I've read I think Evie Woods. I don't know if she's technically romance. She's more like magical literary, I don't know. She's more like magical fiction. I've read Sangu Mandana, The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I love that. And I like a little bit of spice, and I'm assuming that will be this. And I've heard good things about Lila Sage. She seems to be very popular. So, and I love this sort of vintage style cover. I think it's really, really cool. So I picked that one up. This one was $18. Then every now and then I do get on the bus and I go to Barnes & Noble, which is a little bit further from me, and I picked up 3 books in February. So this one was February. All the other 3 were from January. So these were, actually I bought these on Valentine's Day at Barnes & Noble. So this one is Background for Love by Helen Wolf. I absolutely love this. This is a Pushkin Press edition. I'm kind of obsessed with the Pushkin Press editions right now. This is the only one I have, but I want to get more. They specialize in, I think, translated fiction, and so she was from Germany, and she and her husband were one of the founders of Pantheon Press. And this is a story of, it's based on real life. It is a story of a young woman and her older boyfriend taking a road trip from 1930s Germany, 1932 Germany, to the south of France and Saint-Tropez. It is about the escape from fascism, or at least the temporary escape from fascism, and sort of going into this very freeing south of France sort of idyll. And it's beautifully written. It's very short. It's only like 120 pages, and there is a long afterword by, I think, her niece or great niece. And so I read that as well, but I really, really love this. This was I just love the way that she writes. It's translated very, very well. Translated by, it was translated from the German by Tristram Wolff. So yeah, and then the afterword was also translated from the German. I really like this, and because reading this, I was very, I love this introduction to Pushkin Press, and I am anxious to read more. I'm very, very interested in the other literary fiction that they have. This one was $18. Then I picked up Death of an Author by E.C.R. Larac. I love these British Library crime classics. I was introduced to them by Miranda Mills here on YouTube, and I really, really like E.C.R. Larac. I liked this one the most so far. This has been my favorite of hers. This is not in her series of DCI MacDonald, which is usually her long-running detective under this pen name. She also wrote under the pen name Carol Carnac. I have not read the ones published in this series yet, but I've read 3 or 4 of the E.C.R. Laracs, and this by far is my favorite. I really enjoy the story, and I think she is my favorite writer in the British Library crime classics of all the ones that I've read. So this one was $16. That's what most of them are, and these are done by Poison Pen Press in the US, even though they are British Library overseas. This is the one I am currently reading. This is Holy Ghost. This is another British Library series. This is The Tales of the Weird, and I love the covers on these. They have these really cool sort of illustrations in it looks like an etching, but it always has like a color washed over it, a single color. So this is very, very cool. This is Holy Ghost Classic Tales of the Ecclesiastical Uncanny, edited by Fiona Stalem. And I have gotten about halfway through it. I am looking forward. I've read one by Elizabeth Gaskell and Sheridan Le Fanu, who wrote Carmilla, and a couple others. And then I am looking forward. I picked this one up because it has a story by M.R. James in it. It also has a story by Edith Wharton in it. If you know, you know, I love Edith Wharton. And I've probably read it, but I picked it up anyway. And I'm very excited to read the M.R. James story. I listen to him a lot on podcasts during Christmas time, sort of spooky tales for Christmas. And some of the stories I've heard are just spine chilling. So I picked this one up. This is another long running series, just a lot of dark tales from history, a lot of dark tales from British literature specifically in the past. But yeah, it's going a little bit slower just because my brain seems to have turned to sludge this March, but it is, so far, the one I just finished by Elizabeth Gaskell was okay, and then the one I just finished by Ada Buisson, this was actually very good, that I liked, so I am halfway through this. This one was also $18. At the end of January, I read The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, and I really, really liked it. So I picked up special editions of some of her older books came out, so I picked up One Dark Window. I picked this up at my favorite little bookshop owned by the mother and daughter. And this one is absolutely beautiful. It's got a nice dust jacket. This is, again, this is like the special edition based on her popularity, or the popularity of The Night and Moth. This book has been out for a while, and I know it's also very popular, but with the news of the second volume in the Night and the Moth series coming out in September, they released these special editions so that you can see it has sprayed or stenciled edges, whatever you want to call that. Very pretty. And then it has some really nice inside covers, and the actual hardback is embossed with silver. And then I think the back is pretty much, yeah, the back is pretty much the same. But there's a photo of the author in there. And I'm interested because it looks like it has a lot of tarot in it. This is the silver on the spine. Looks like it has tarot cards in it. I love tarot, and I've been learning tarot. And so I think this is a little bit younger than The Night and the Moth. I'm not sure, but this is the Shepherd King series, so it's part of a duology. So I picked this one up because, again, I want to support my local bookstores, and I wanted to get this little, I love a sprayed edge, I love a special edition, and getting it locally is amazing. So this one was $32. On my birthday, early this March, I went on a shopping trip with my mom, and she bought all of these books, so I didn't pay anything for the next few books I'm going to show, so I went a little wild. So we went to another used bookstore on the other side of town that I don't usually get to, and I picked up Companion Piece by Allie Smith. I love, love, love her seasonal quartets. I started with autumn and went all the way through summer. I love her writing, and so I picked a companion piece. This is the companion piece to the seasonal quartet, and it is in hardback. It is by Pantheon Press, and it's just a beautiful hardcover. It's got some green paper on the inside, and yeah, I mean, the spine is, you know, it's a used book, but it's beautiful, and I love Allie Smith, and so I wanted to pick up Companion Piece. I didn't pay for this, so I don't know how much it was, but again, it was used hardback, beautiful condition. And then I picked up The Corner That Held Them by Sylvia Townsend Warner. I have read this, and it is the first NYRB paperback that I picked up. I have been a little bit obsessed with NYRB books. It is another, besides Pushkin Press, that I've been obsessed with their paperbacks. everyone, I have a bunch more I will show you, and everyone that I've found them all used, and they have been in excellent condition. So this one I picked up, this is about, it was written in 1948, and it's about a monastery, or actually a nunnery, in England, and I can't remember exactly where. I think it's more towards the south of England, and it is just an interesting story. It kind of meanders, it kind of wanders. It starts with a very interesting origin story for the convent, and then it kind of weaves through the lives of the prioresses and the nuns and the priest there and the bishop. And sometimes it leaves sometimes it leaves the convent and comes back, but it's kind of this winding tale, sort of like the river that it is built near. And there are parts of it that were a little bit slow, but again, this is literary fiction, so I'm sort of slowing down from my romance and my mystery that I've just been reading like mad lately. So it forced me to slow down, and it forced me to really think about the language and the story, and I really enjoyed the latter part of this book when I really sort of understood what was going on in it, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to more of the NYRB books that I picked up. Again, everyone that I've picked up has been in really good condition. No breakage of the spines, maybe a few creases in the page, but mostly they're really good condition, which it makes me wonder if people pick these up for the aesthetic value and never read them. That's always possible. But I actually want to read mine, so, and I don't know how much this one was. My mother bought it for me, so. Then we went over to Half Price Books, and I picked up a whole bunch more of things. So I picked up The Will of the Many. I have been really excited to read this. I love, or at least I used to love back in my 20s, stories about Greek and Roman mythology and classical stories based in Greek and Roman times. And I know this is more of like a fantasy, sort of based on Roman ideas and Roman classical themes, but I really wanted to pick it up. I am a little annoyed at myself because when I was taking the sticker off at Half Price Books, the edge caught on something and ripped the cover, which I am annoyed with myself, but it's fine. It's just a paperback. She's chunky, very chunky, and I'm looking forward to reading some like straight up fantasy. I don't know what kind of tropes this has or anything, but the cover art's very cool, and I love the idea of basing it on classical Roman ideas and history. So if that's what this is, that's what I'm led to believe it is, and I've heard it's very, very good. So we'll get to that eventually. And then I was really excited to find this. This is The Z Murders by J. Jefferson Farjan. He is one of the Golden Age crime writers that was writing at the same time as Agatha Christie, just like E.C.R. Larac. And his Mystery in White. He wrote Mystery in White, which is one of the first volumes that the British Library Crime Classics published, and I ate that up. I thought that was one of the best of the reprints that the British Library, BLCC as I call them, has done. And so I was excited to find this one at Half Price Books. I didn't find a lot of the British Library Crime Classics in used format, so I was excited to find this and pick it up, and I am expecting to really enjoy it. These are usually really fast reads, and they are very of their time. There are things in them that are not acceptable today, and you know, that can kind of pull you out of it a little bit, but you know, you just kind of have to go into that knowing it, and you know, it's not pleasant, but sometimes I haven't seen that happen with his books. I have seen it happen with some of the other authors, not specifically E.C.R. Larac or Farjan, but with Christiana Brand or John Dixon Carr, I've seen it. There's some really kind of just bad stuff in there, but this one I'm looking forward to because I really, really liked Mystery in White. I thought it was like a really great sort of closed not like a locked room mystery, but like it was set in like a snowed in mansion. And with a train. And so I'm interested to see how that carries forward with this. And then I picked up a bunch of NYRB paperbacks, which I am super excited about. This one I have already read. This is Our Spoons Came from Woolworth by Barbara Comins. She is an English writer. She wrote this in 1950, but it is set in the Great Depression. I read this in 2 days, very short, and written in very short chapters, short bursts. And it is about a young woman, a young artist who gets married very young and sort of comes to understand that she doesn't really like the man she marries, and all of the ways that she has to give up her art while he gets to sort of become a starving artist while she has to go to work and, birth babies and become a homekeeper and keep some kind of income going for the house, and doing that all during the Great Depression and just what she goes through. And it is easily digestible in small chunks. Again, I read it in 2 days, so I read it, in larger chunks, but it was pretty easy to read. And it was, very much a slice of life from that time. And I don't know that I enjoyed it because the story was, frustrating at times, because of, the story of being sort of stuck in this marriage to this guy who just doesn't get it and doesn't feel any obligation to take care of his family. Well, he kind of basically makes her do it. And she sort of is coming to the realization that she deserves better, but it's a little bit frustrating. But eventually, it does come to sort of a satisfactory conclusion, at least for me. So enjoyed this, and it has a short introduction. Then I have In Parentheses by David Jones. He, I believe, is a Welsh writer, and this was originally written in 1937. I believe it is about the First World War. There is well, I don't know if I can show the painting, but there's a painting on the inside cover that apparently he did. I have not attempted to go, but it looks like I've not attempted to read it yet, but it looks like it's kind of written a little bit in verse, a little bit in prose, and it's about his experience, I believe, during the First World War. So, and I believe he also did this illustration on the front. I think he did. Yes, he did this on the front. It's called Trench Drawing, so sounds harrowing, but I want to attempt it. So, and then I picked up Sun City by Tove Jansson. Her summer book, Summer Story, has been turned into a movie. I didn't find that one, but I found this one. This is about so the summer book is the big one that she wrote, and it is blurbed by Madeline L'Engle, which is very cool. It's a group of residents and employees at a Berkeley Arms in St. Petersburg, Florida. So it sounds like it's in a sort of like a senior living sort of situation in the 1960s. I believe she's Scandinavian. I don't remember which country, but I believe she lived in St. Petersburg, or at least lived in Florida in America for a while. So this is based on her time there. So I am interested to see. Apparently this is the cover of the book from when it was released, but it is in an NYRB edition. This was written in 1974, translated by Thomas Teal, same person who translated the summer book. Then I have A Private Affair by Beppe Fenoglio. This is about World War II. It is translated from the Italian, and it was written in... I'm not sure, it doesn't have an original date for when this was published, but it looks like it was first translated in 2006 and then published in this edition in 2023. But it is about World War II and the resistance. I believe he is part of the people battling the fascists in Italy and Germany, but he goes to he finds out that his best friend has been sleeping with his girlfriend, and then his friend goes missing, so he has to go and find his friend during World War II. So it sounds harrowing, sounds difficult, but I am looking forward to reading more translated fiction. This is translated by Howard Curtis, and actually this is, I believe this is Leonardo da Vinci, a sketch of his on the front, which I think is very cool. And it's very short. It's like 150 pages. So I found all of those NYRBs plus a few extras from Half Price Books. So I was very excited to pick those up. And yeah, I'm very excited to add those to my collection and get a little bit more variety into my reading experience, especially with translated fiction and older fiction, literary fiction, all that kind of thing. So, and then the two most recent books that I picked up were at another used bookstore on the other side of town. So I found another NYRB. So this is the New York Stories of Henry James. This is about 500 pages. And it's selected with an introduction by Colm Toibin. Apologies that I don't know how to pronounce his name in Irish, but it is, I love Henry James. I loved Portrait of a Lady. This one also has Washington Square in it, which I have read. I read it from the Gutenberg Project on my tablet a long, long time ago, but I am super excited to have it in print. Again, this was a used copy. I got it for $10, and it is in wonderful condition. Again, these NYRB classic editions just hold up so well, and I'm really impressed with, again, I don't know if it's just because people are buying them for the aesthetics and never reading them. Maybe that's going to be me, who knows, but I'm super excited because I love Henry James, and I'm excited to read more of his stories. I think I have read some of these, like Washington Square, but these have, let's see, Story of a Masterpiece, A Most Extraordinary Case, Crawford's Consistency, An International Episode, Washington Square, The Impressions of a Cousin, The Jolly Corner, Crapy or Crappy Cornelia, C-R-A-P-Y, A Round of Visits. So yeah, very excited. This is, the introduction is from 2006. Not sure when this edition is from, but it must be pretty recent. And I recently saw this at a local bookstore for full price, so I was happy to pick this up for $10. And I believe the bookseller said he had just put this out like an hour ago when I bought it, so feel very lucky to have that. And then at the same store, which specializes in mass market paperbacks, but I found this there, which is a hardback of the Black owned. This is nonfiction, The Revolutionary Life of the Black Bookstore by Char Adams. I'm really excited for this. I was actually going to pick this up at my favorite used bookstore on the other side of town. I didn't pick it up when I first saw it, and I was going to go back, and then I saw this there, and I was able to pick it up for $10. So I'm super excited about that. It looks amazing. I love stories about bookstores, bookstore owners, and I am really excited to read this and hear the stories coming out of this book. So beautiful, beautiful condition, hardback, and again, $10. Super excited for this. And then we get to today, which is the last Sunday in March, which is why I decided to do this quarterly book haul. So I picked up, what do I have here? Where'd all my books go? Oh, right there. Okay. So today I went back to my favorite little bookstore and I picked up Two Twisted Crowns. I have not read One Dark Window yet, but I still picked up Two Twisted Crowns because it's the special edition, the last one they had. So again, I just wanted to support and pick up a beautiful edition, again with these stenciled or sprayed edges. Beautiful foiling with the new cover on it. And it again has, this is a cute little sticker that I picked up. And again has the beautiful inside cover. This is volume 2 of The Shepherd King. And again on the back. And then what does the hardback look like? ooh, this was the red foiling on the hardback, very cool. And then on the side, yeah, very, very cool. Super excited to read these. Again, I really liked The Night and the Moth, and I am excited for the new volume coming out in September. So while I'm waiting, I can have both of these. I think these look very cool together. So you've got silver and metallic red, and then you have, they're not necessarily, are they like, yeah, it's not necessarily a continuing seam, but it is very cool on the stenciled edges, and they both match, which is very, very nice. I love that. So again, that was $32 for the special edition. Then I went next door to the antique store, which I always thought was just an antique store, but is actually full of used books. So mind blown, now I have another used bookstore to go to. So I picked up 2 more paperbacks, and I got these each. Were half of what was in, they were half price what was on the inside cover, so they're already kind of like discounted for being used, and then they were half price off of that. So super excited. I picked up Castle Skull in the British Library Crime Classics edition. It's in pretty good condition. John Dixon Carr is not my favorite. I think he is one of the more favorite authors of people who love this series, like Christiana Brand. I do find that he tends to fall back on stereotypes and tropes that are not really acceptable today. But I don't know, he's dead. He's not making any money off of this. So I don't feel, again, it's just one of those things that it's like you kind of have to know what you're going into when you go in, and just, ugh. But it's, I love this series. I love the Golden Age of Crime, and I don't have to love the author. So this is a Rhineland mystery. So he likes to set his, he was an American who moved to England and became part of the whole detection club back in the 30s through the 50s, writing at the same time as Agatha Christie. And he wrote under a couple of pen names, and he has a very like fast, almost flippant style, very like provocative. His stuff reads very fast. Like I said, this is a nice edition. It does have a few little creases that you can't really see. And then I noticed when I opened it up, there was like someone was eating when they read this and left a few little food stains, but it came off with a napkin, so it's mostly okay. It's mostly fine. That's what you get when you buy a used book. And I think this was $6. So. And then I found another NYRB edition, yay! And I picked up Purgatorio by Dante Alighieri. So if you saw my last video on my Bantam Classics, you know that I have a copy of the Bantam Classics edition, which is by right here, over here, where is it? Must be in the back somewhere. I have this Bantam Classic, which is translated by Alan Mandelbaum. And I picked this one up because I love these NYRB classics. Again, graphic design is my passion. I just love the way, and I love the cover on this. It is in amazing condition. There were no food stains on it that I could tell. And this one also has the Italian verse on the inside and the translated verse. This one is translated by D.M. Black, with a preface by Robert Pogue Harrison. So D.M. Black, from what I can tell, he is a psychoanalyst. So he's coming at this from more of like a psychological, psychoanalytical bent when he's doing his translation. So it'll be interesting to compare these two, which I think his translation, yeah, it looks like his translation is also in verse. And then it has all the cantos, the old Italian on one side, English on the other. And then it has notes in the back for each canto. So I'm excited to have a new edition, and I'm hoping it'll make me actually read the Purgatorio, because I love the Inferno. I love the Inferno. It's got people talking out of their butts, right? I mean, that's pretty crazy. That's just, amazing. But this one is more of like coming out of hell and going through purgatory and realizing things about yourself and reflecting more. At least that's, you know, what the sense of what I'm getting from this. And I've listened to a podcast on the Purgatorio, on the entire Divine Comedy, and this one at least seems more interesting than Paradiso, because there is still that sort of element of a little bit of weirdness, a little bit of repentance and waiting and being in, not limbo, because limbo is a separate place, but you know, waiting to be led into heaven. So I'm excited. Again, beautiful edition, and I'm just so excited to have all of these. So this, let's see, I have 3 of the British Library crime classics, 2 of them used, 1 new. I have 1 Pushkin Press classic. I have 1 of the Tales of the Weird from the British Library, 1 romance, thrifted paperback, nonfiction paperback with beautiful foiling. Love the fishy fish. I'm a Pisces. And then a new Oxford classic, a new giant tome in paperback. I have, let's see, 3 or 4 hardbacks, 2 used, 2 special edition. And then I have a whole pile of NYRB, so New York Review of Books. I am really excited. Like, I get to, you know, I have to be careful because I start becoming a weird, like, collector of paperback editions, and I don't want to just buy a bunch of books that I'm not going to read. I fully intend to read all of these at some point, and I am planning on, I have a TBR stacked. Some of these books have to go back in the TBR, but I have the TBR next to my bed of books that I bought last year and priorities for the next few months. And I have been, like I said, I've been slowing down a lot on my reading this month because it was my birthday. The weather's changing, spring cleaning, the world is on fire, and I just haven't felt like, it's been harder to turn off my brain. But I read I think I read 9 books in January. If you go to my other channel, my makeup channel, I recently did a video on all the books I read in January. And then in February, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books in February. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I've read including this one, which I'm halfway through and hoping to finish before the end of the month. This is my 6th book, so 6 books in March. So I started off the year going nuts with books, and then I've sort of slowed down a little bit. It's fine, and I keep track of my books in this little Archer and Olive. This is their little pocket size book. It's not the reading journal, but it is the blank pocket size that I've turned into a reading journal for me, or at least a book journal. So I keep track of the books I bought, the books I borrow, the books I read. I keep yearly and quarterly totals, and then I write down quotes from each book that I pull out. So I don't know, I'm excited. This is 21 books, and I've already read 21 books this year, so I feel like that's fair. And I didn't even plan on going out and buying books today. It's a beautiful day out. I felt like just going out in the sunshine and being in the sunshine. And as you can see, I'm not wearing makeup today. If you want to see me wearing makeup, go to my other channel. But today you get me with a bare face and a little bit of lip balm. So here we are. And I'm excited about a lot of these books. Some of these books I know will go really, really fast. I'll probably read them in 2 or 3 days. Some of these I know I will struggle with, and that's fine. It's okay to think while you read. It's okay to take your time with the book. It's not a race. And some of these are just pretty, and that's fine too. And looking forward to them anyway. So let me know what you picked up so far in 2026. Let me know how much you've read. Let me know if you are obsessed with any paperback series like I am. Again, mine is British Library, the crime classics, the British Library women writers, the Tales of the Weird. I love the Pushkin Press, and now I love the NYRB editions, and I'm also obsessed with a beautiful sprayed edge, although I try not to buy too many of these, and I don't want to get into like book boxes and special editions and all of that too deeply, because you can spend a lot of money on those, and some of them just aren't very good, and I don't want to, I want to read it. I want to have it and read it. Yeah, and then again, just a lot of thrifted books that I am excited to have, and it's been really fun to just find these thrifted in good condition on the shelf. So thank you so much for watching. If you would, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of those would be welcome. All of them would be deeply, deeply appreciated. Happy reading, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.